Hi dear students, I'm Assistant Instructor انمار ثاقب. I'll be teaching you reading comprehension. Reading comprehension is designed to develop and assess a person's ability to understand, interpret, and analyze written texts. It involves not only recognizing words and their meanings, but also grasping the main ideas, themes, and details within a passage. The title of the book is Select Readings, which is intended for first-year students at the Department of English Language and Literature. Let's take the first reading passage, that is, are you getting enough sleep? Let's start reading. Are you getting enough sleep? What happens if you don't get enough sleep? What happens if you don't get enough sleep? What happens? Happen means to take place. Happen means to take place. If you don't get enough sleep, enough means sufficient. Enough means sufficient. Randy Gardner, a high school student in the United States, he wanted to find out. He wanted to find out. To find out, to discover. To find out, to discover. He designed an experiment. An experiment. An experiment means a scientific test. A scientific test. He designed an experiment on the effects of sleeplessness. Effects, impacts, damages that sleeplessness can cause. On the effects of sleeplessness for a school science project with Dr. William Dement from Stanford University and two friends watching him carefully. Watching him carefully. Carefully means thoroughly or with care. Two friends watching him carefully. Gardner stayed awake for 264 hours and 12 minutes. Gardner remained, or stayed awake for 264 hours. The opposite for the word awake is asleep. So the antonym for the word awake is asleep. That's 11 days and nights without sleep. That's 11 days and nights without sleep. What effect did sleeplessness have on Gardner? What effect did sleeplessness have on Gardner? What damage did sleeplessness have on Gardner? After 24 hours without sleep, Gardner started having trouble reading and watching television. Gardner began having trouble. Trouble means difficulty, problem, difficulty or problem reading and watching television. The words and pictures were too blurry. The words and pictures, images, can also be abbreviated as pics, pictures, were too blurry. Blurry means unclear. Blurry, unclear. By the third day, he was having trouble doing things with his hands. He was having trouble doing things with his hands. With. So pay attention to that. Don't say by his hands. It's with his hands. By the fourth day, Ghana was hallucinating. Ghana was hallucinating. Hallucinating means tripping. So Ghana was tripping. For example, when he saw a street sign, he thought it was a person. He thought it was a person. We can pluralize the word person. As people, persons, or we can say also people. He also imagined, visualized. He also imagined, visualized. He was a famous football player. He was a famous football player. Famous, well-known, well-known football player. Over the next few days, Ghana's speech became so slurred. Slurred, indistinct. It means indistinct. Unclear, also. So slurred that people couldn't understand him. Understand, to comprehend. Let's say comprehend. He also had trouble remembering things. He also had trouble remembering things. The synonym for the word remember is to recall. Remember, recall, recall. So he also had trouble recalling things. By the 11th day, Ghana couldn't pass a counting test. Ghana couldn't pass a counting test. The antonym for the word pass is fail. Fail. The opposite for the word pass is to fail. In the middle of the test, he simply stopped counting. In the middle of the test, he simply stopped counting. Stopped. The opposite for stopped is kept. Kept. In the middle of the test, he simply stopped. The opposite is kept. Kept counting. He couldn't remember what he was doing. He couldn't remember what he was doing. When Ghana finally, at the end, when Ghana finally went to bed, he slept for 14 hours and 45 minutes. The second night, he slept for 12 hours. The second night, he slept for 12 hours. The third night, he slept for 10 and 1/2 hours. And by the fourth night, he had returned to his normal sleep schedule. He had returned, gone back. Return is to get back. Again, so he had returned, gone back to his normal sleep schedule. Even though Garner recovered quickly, recovered means to get better, okay. Quickly means fast or rapidly. Even though Garner recovered quickly, scientists believe, think that scientists believe that going without sleep can be dangerous. It's unsafe or risky. Dangerous. It's unsafe or risky. They say that people should not repeat Randy's experiment. They say that people shouldn't repeat Randy's experiment. Repeat, to do something again. Redo. Let's say redo. Tests on white rats have shown how serious sleeplessness can be. After a few weeks without sleep, the rats started losing fear. The opposite for the word lose or the verb lose is to gain. Lose, to gain. And even though the rats ate more food than usual, they lost weight. As we mentioned earlier, to lose is, or the opposite, or the antonym for the verb to lose is to gain. So they lost weight. Eventually, the rats died. In the end, finally, the rats died. Has anyone stayed awake longer than Randy Garner? Yes. According to the Guinness Book of World Records, Maureen Weston from the United Kingdom holds the record for staying awake the longest. She went 449 hours without sleep in 1977. That's 18 days and 17 hours. During your lifetime, you will likely spend, 25 years or more sleeping. But why? But why? What's the purpose of sleep? Purpose? What's the goal behind sleeping, or the aim? Purpose, aim, or a goal? Surprisingly, scientists don't know for sure. Scientists used to think we turned our brains off. When we went to sleep. Sleep researchers now know, however, that our brains are very active. Very active. Active means operative or functional. The opposite is inactive. Inactive. All our brains are very active when we sleep. Some scientists think we sleep in order to replenish brain cells. Replenish brain cells. To renew. Replenish, renew brain cells. Other scientists think that sleep helps the body, assists or aids the body to grow and relieve stress. Grow, to get bigger, and relieve means to soothe, to lessen the stress. Whatever the reason, we know that it is important, significant, fundamental, essential. The opposite is unimportant. We know that it is important to get enough sleep. Enough sleep. So here we come to the end of the reading passage. Now let us shift to the exercises. On page number 5, we have the first exercise, which is understanding the text. A. Comprehension, scanning for details. Read each statement below and check true or false. Number 1. Randy Gardner was a university student when he did his experiment. That's false. That's false. Randy Gardner was a high school student, not a university student. Number 2. During the experiment, Gardner slept for several hours every night. It's also false. 3. During the experiment, Gardner had trouble speaking clearly. That's true. Gardner was hallucinating. So that's true. Number 4. It took 2 weeks for Gardner to recover from the experiment. It took 2 weeks. It took 2 weeks for Gardner to recover from the experiment. It's false. It took him actually 4 days. 4 days. 5. Going without sleep is not dangerous for white rats. It's false. It is dangerous. 6. Maureen Weston stayed awake a little over 7.5 days, longer than Gardner. It's true. So the statement is true. 7. The author does not tell us how Gardner stayed awake for 11 days. True. That's true. 8. According to this article, scientists are not sure why we need to sleep. That's also true. Okay. Let's go to B, which is vocabulary. Underline these words in the reading passage on pages 3 to 4. Then match each word with its definition to the right. 1. Number 1. Blurry. It's E. Blurry. It's E, which is not looking clear. Not looking clear. 2. Eventually. Eventually. It's F. After a long time. After a long time. 3. Experiment. Experiment. It is C, which is a test done to prove something. Test done to prove something. 4. It is A. Hallucinating. It's A. Seeing things that are not really there. 5. Slurred. Slurred. It's B. Not sounding clear. Not sounding clear. And the last one is D. Speech. Means talking. D, which is talking. Now let's shift to page number 7. In the middle of the page, we have A. Use the words in the box below to form collocations and complete the sentences. Use the words in the box below to form collocations and complete the sentences. We have the words enough, full, schedule, soundly, to, and without. Number 1. What time do you usually go to sleep? Go to sleep. Number 2. What time did you go also to? What time did you go to sleep last night? What time did you go to sleep last night? Number 3. How long does it take you to fall asleep? How long does it take you to fall asleep? Four. How long can you go without sleep? How long can you go without sleep? 5. Do you usually get enough sleep on weeknights? Do you usually get enough sleep on weeknights? 6. Do you sleep soundly every night? Do you sleep soundly every night? 7. Do you have a regular or irregular sleep schedule? Do you have a regular or irregular sleep schedule? 8, which is the last one. Do you have the same sleep schedule every day? Do you have the same sleep schedule every day? As we finish, I hope the knowledge we've explored will stay with you. Thank you for your attention. Thank you.